everyone. My name is Linda. I'm currently the head of BD at Lookaddit. And today we want to kind of keep things a bit more casual for you so that you can understand what the mechanics of a live show is like. So yeah, it'll kind of be like always me asking Terence a question on your behalf because we have received a lot of questions from you guys even before we started. Yeah, so we want to try to address as much of those questions as possible.
Hi everyone, I'm Terence, and I'm actually I'm a business owner, like many of you here, and I run retail and fashion brand business selling ladies fashion footwear apparel, Melissa brand of shoes. And because of COVID, because of the push to digitization, and because of the strong trends that we see in live commerce, from a business owner perspective, I've also started out this new live streaming platform called Lookaddit. And today I hope to, with Linda, share with you our experience and perspective from a brand owner's journey on live streaming over the past 12 months, our ups and downs, learning from doing, I would say, coming to 20 Melissa live shows already, as well as how we think live streaming platform and live commerce can be a very important part of brands and businesses moving forward into a post-COVID world. So we're going to keep it as informal and as lighthearted as possible, because this is live streaming. Also, it's not about a one-way conversation between the hosts and the audience. We hope, and I encourage you to ask questions through the Q&A and chat function. But to kick things off, I would I'll ask Emmeline to help me put up two simple surveys, so that we hear from you on two questions. The first question will be whether or not you guys have done a live stream before. We hope you see the poll in front of your screen now. It's a simple yes or no, and we hope that all of you can give us your feedback on whether or not you've done live streaming, so we get a good idea of where our audience is at today. And then we'll follow that up with a second question. But from about 50 plus 54 respondents, 80% have not done a live show before. Okay, but 20% have. Okay, so there's some experience, but most people haven't. So the next question, I think, is for those who have done a live show. For those 11 people who said yes just now, can you tell us whether you are overall happy or not so happy with your first live stream experience? Okay, majority of the 11. Thank you. All 11 responded. Very good. So 80%. 80% of the people who have done live streaming said that you are not so satisfied. Yes, very understandable. It is a journey, and hopefully, as we get along, today we would answer. We've gotten quite a lot of questions from you guys as well, and we will try to answer as many as possible during our talk with you. But if we haven't, please feel free to also put up your questions in the chat box and in Q&A, and me and Linda will try to address them.
Yeah.
So I think without
actually, the two people who said that you're happy, right? Maybe we can invite you to also share your experience with the rest towards the end of the show.
Yeah. So let's get started. We're going to do it today in a bit of a talk show style. Linda is going to put on the role of someone who is new to live commerce, which is the audience here. She's going to speak on your behalf and try to ask me as many difficult questions as possible.
But most people are quite new to live commerce anyway, and it's a sector that everyone, or it's a space that everyone is trying to get into. So I think like, every business nowadays is like really like they're looking at it as an alternative, right? Because sales are impacted and all that. So who do you think should stream and why?
So the question is, is live, what kind of business is live streaming or live shows relevant to? I would say almost every business can and should consider and try out live streaming in some way or other. As we got into creating this live streaming platform business, we realized that live streaming is simply a new and a better channel of communication for almost any type of brand, business, service, even services, on a B2B, on a B2C, or on a B2B2C basis as well. So in terms of relevancy, I would say almost every business should start to think and consider it. But obviously, given the early stage of this new segment, there are some industries and some brand segments that are doing it a lot more, mainly in food, in fashion, lifestyle. But actually, we think that this one can apply to a very broad variety of businesses.
So basically, I think everyone who kind of wants a new sales channel, or wants to promote more brand awareness, we think that you can do it. But then we also, well, I mean, I think most people are also curious, like what kind of products or services can we actually offer via live streaming?
Yeah. To what we see happening right now on Facebook, Instagram Live, YouTube Live is not so big yet. Most of the biggest and most successful live shows that we see are happening on, I would say, Facebook, Instagram, and on some of the marketplace platforms, right? And we see that they are mostly concentrated around products. It could be F&B products, frozen food, packaged goods, packaged snacks, right? Not so much cooked food yet. Cooked food that is more relevant to the food delivery platforms. And of course, it could be electronics, it could be appliances, it could be fashion, lifestyle, shoes, clothes, bags. We've also even seen, for example, property agents and property agencies start to get a bit into doing live shows, but it's a bit more indirect. They're not actually transacting or selling properties as they do the live show, but they're using a lot more of the live show format to drive their business.
So I guess the question then is, how then do we get started, right? Because there are so many platforms out there. So what do we need to, look out for?
Yeah, the current, I would say, the most relevant and the biggest platforms for most businesses would still be on social media today. And social media meaning Facebook as the big one, and Instagram for the more fashion, lifestyle-driven products. We are also seeing a lot of successful and good live shows on these two platforms. We do see a lot of activity on some of the marketplace platforms. But we are seeing also very kind of mixed reviews and mixed results. But I would say that for sure, any business should consider the big social media and the big marketplace platforms, as well as obviously, the platform that have started and something that we'll share with you a bit more as we go.
Okay, sorry, just give us a second. We'll try to answer one or two questions now. Because suddenly there are a lot of questions. um. Okay. Oh, okay. So maybe we answer a question by Edith, answer live. Okay. So when do we do live streaming and when do we do YouTube? How do we avoid live streaming to be like a webinar?
That's probably one of the most important distinctions to make. But the first part of the question is, how does YouTube figure in terms of live commerce or live selling? I would say as of now, YouTube live is certainly a thing, but YouTube live commerce is not a thing as far as we can see for now yet. Live commerce, live shows where we are engaging the audience and trying to sell a brand or product or services is still most, I would say, active and productive on Facebook, Instagram. That's for sure. So I would emphasize again that the first stop to consider is Facebook and Instagram.
So I'm thinking maybe her question is more like, she's saying using YouTube in the sense of just doing a pre-recorded video. I don't know whether I'm hearing you right. Like I don't know whether the question is when do you do pre-recorded and when do you do live, right? Is that what you're asking?
I think I get it, and I'll answer that.
Yeah.
I'll answer that in the second part, which is that what makes it a live show, right? And why is a live show relevant as compared to just a brand video or just a YouTube video? That's a very important distinction to make, and the big differences that we see that makes a live show important and I would say effective is when you have brand, product, and a host that is able to talk to and engage an audience. So from what we see of the emerging shoppers and consumers who are starting to view live shows on a regular basis, what they like most are two things. Number one, participating in a live show as compared to watching a YouTube video is very different for these shoppers in the sense that they feel like the host acknowledges and can see that they're there in the room. And when they put in a comment or they engage through emoticons and some tools as part of the live show, they feel like they are being responded to and there's a two-way engagement, right? And they really like that. So that's the first part. That and the audience really, audience seldom get to sometimes see and engage interesting or beautiful face or personality. You certainly can't do that when viewing a YouTube video, but in a live show, that personality can actually talk back to you and acknowledge your presence. So that's a big difference. And secondly, of course, during a live show, in order to, I would say, close the sales is frequently a necessity to introduce promotion or brand mechanics that are pretty special and unique to the live show. So if driving sales is one of the big kind of priorities for you doing a live show, we certainly will advise our fellow brand and business owners that it's not about deep discounting. They don't have to do super deep discounting, but they must create offerings and promotions that are unique and they are only available during that live show. So that combination of two-way engagement plus compelling mechanics is what really differentiates and make a live show a real different
Yeah.
addition to your business
Yeah.
versus just a YouTube or Facebook video.
Yeah. So I think to to wrap up, right, that question is more of like, so imagine if now, like, okay, I'm seeing all your questions, right? Like, so if now we don't answer the questions, then you also won't feel like, oh, it's so engaging, like, versus if we're just presenting our slides and we're just talking through, and then at the end then we just answer a few questions. Or like, on YouTube, if like people are just leaving comments on your videos and all that, like sometimes it doesn't actually mean anything, and you can't actually convert it into sales or anything else immediately, and like the follow-up tends to take longer. Whereas, like, versus a live show, if let's say you have a question about the product or the service right now, and then I answer you right away, then I think, like,
immediate
yeah,
response,
correct,
you get immediate gratification, and people
yeah.
today really want everything immediate, and live show is a great way to kind of satisfy that need. Yeah.
And I think because, like with social media being the way it is now, with a lot of people going on TikTok and things like that, and like people are beginning to see that, hey, in China, like this has been a thing that's been ongoing for 10 years, and we're about 10 years behind, right? So Singapore is trying to play catch up and things like that. So I think it is definitely a very real shift, yeah, towards live shows. So of course there are still companies that are doing a lot of pre-recorded videos for a lot of brand awareness reasons and whatnot, and it's not wrong. But yeah, I think it's quite
They play
relevant.
different roles.
Correct.
They play different
So
roles.
okay, I'm going to try to like quickly answer a few questions first, and then those that I cannot answer now, we are going to answer later, right? Then I'll just tell you, okay? So like so okay, to David, right? Because you are saying that you're in advanced manufacturing and in B2B. So you want to know whether like a live show can apply to you. So I think,
yeah, we've talked about the question a bit. Obviously, today for ourselves and for the general kind of frontline retail industry, we see a lot of interest and a lot of activity happening on live shows. So I think that one, people can understand from a B2C point of view. From a B2B point of view, this is what I would say. I think that the engagement and the relevancy and the entertainment of a live show is equally the same, whether you're talking to a B2C or B2B person, right? So that relevancy is the same. The only difference is whether you can reach out to the audience and you have created an audience. So if I were to ask a B2B business, for example, to say, look, today, do you already have an audience, a big enough audience from your B2B client base from somewhere, whether you have captured it in your own CRM database or whether it is capturable and you can skew them into some social media, Facebook group, Instagram page, if you can, or even YouTube channel. So this is where YouTube could potentially be relevant for B2B. If you have an audience of enough size that you would like to speak to, and you can engage with them through a ready and existing group on social media, then you can definitely consider trying to do a few live shows to start to see whether that is a more engaging, effective, and relevant way. And I think you'll be surprised if you think about it good enough and you find good hosts and good content. I think your B2B customers will be very happy in this age where we still can't do travel, and where there's still some limitations in just a pure Zoom call. Zoom call are very one-to-one. A live show, I think, can be very relevant to a B2B business.
Yeah, so I think it's really trying to kind of eliminate that screen, if you will, because previously we can, like we always think that if you want to close a deal, right, the easiest is always, whether it's B2C or B2B, is always if you talk face to face. Like if you walk into a shop, I can possibly sell you something immediately. if let's say I talk to you, I can close the deal, with you as a contractor or whatever, right? But then like now we are always doing our meetings through Zoom and it's already very 2D. So I think live streaming is a way to, bring back the 3D-ness of that. Yeah, if you will. Yeah. So I think okay, we move on first, okay? So I think there's a lot of people who are asking us to kind of show them how to do live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. So unfortunately, this is not what our webinar is that's not what we're aiming for today. We're not going to actually give you an illustration. Like I'm not going to open my screen, go to Facebook and say, okay, where do you click, that kind of thing. But what I can tell you is that um doing a live stream on Facebook or YouTube or whichever channel you choose or whichever platform you choose is not the hard part, because it's really just a click of a button like, okay, I want to schedule for a live when, and then you just go ahead. But it's not so simple to say, oh, okay, I'm just ready. I'll just start now. I'm just going to start talking to, because who are you going to talk to, right? So I think these are the things that we want to cover today. Like, what do you actually need to do before a show? So we'll get there. Okay. So give us some time. So, okay, we'll start. Like, I'll ask some of the other questions for you. So you'll see that, yeah, we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think maybe I wrap up on the
Yep.
so far, right? So far I think we've covered that, okay, there are a lot of platforms out there. So there's not only like Facebook or YouTube or whatnot, but I think really picking your choice of poison, like there's also Shopee Live and Lazada Live and all that. I think first of all you need to figure out, right? Because every platform has their own commission structures and everybody provides you with different tools, right? Like, so we're not here to share you, oh, these are all the rates that they're charging, these are all the tools that they're going to give you. But yeah, so but you have to first understand that, and you have to understand the mechanisms of a live show, and then you plan accordingly. So I think we always say that it's best to just start so that you will learn along the way and you can tailor your show structure to fit your own audience.
Yeah. So no, but I'll try to answer these questions from a kind of a zero-based point of view, like because 80% of you haven't done a live show, but clearly all of you are interested in live show, right? So it's like, should I start? Is it relevant to me? How do I start? I think the first perspective is to ask yourself, would you like and appreciate the ability to create a new permanent channel of sales on top of what you have today, right? You could be a brick and mortar business. You could have mixed brick and mortar with your own online shop and with some marketplace presence. So the question is, on top of all of this, because today they all have their pros and cons, right? Like as a business owner, myself, brick and mortar business, is definitely challenging today, but it will still remain. But we're not going to, think that, moving forward from COVID, we all know that brick and mortar business will only going to get more and more challenging. But at the same time, the existing modes of e-commerce, marketplaces, our own website, these are also, no matter how hard we push into digitization in these areas, these are also not the 100% answer to recovering or long-term growth for the business, because there are very specific challenges that we can go into, right, with regards to growing your own website today and with regards to growing your business in marketplace today. It's not for everyone. So I think most businesses would definitely say yes. We would like a new channel of business in live commerce that will allow us to, build our brand and build our business at the same time, right? So I think that's easy. Then the next question is, okay, where should I start? How should I start? The answer to that question is very important. And you need to ask yourself first, do I have an audience today? Where are my consumers? Where are my shoppers? Or what are my plans to reach out to more shoppers and new customers today, right? So you must know the answer to that first. Do you already have an existing big Facebook, Instagram, or even YouTube fan base already? Um, for those of you who do, and many of you would already through the years have accumulated a sizable Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or even just your own CRM database, right? Then I would say you got to start from there. And the best way to reach out to this audience, via live show is through social media, which is Facebook or Instagram, right? To do a live show through social media to reach out to your existing audience. And that's a natural answer. Then as you find success to that, you wouldn't find the immediate success from the first one or two shows, but as you try it and you build your content, you build your who your host is, then you can start to explore new ways of growing your audience, right? And that can be done again in many ways by through digital marketing, by adding more followers to your own social media groups, or by through working with other platforms and other hosts or other brands. Then you create synergies and you reach out to new audiences as well. So that's a natural kind of starting point for brands with their own already social media following. But we also know that there could be many brands or businesses with very zero or very little social media presence or following or fan base. Now, that would present a more challenging and difficult question. And there are many brands like that often think that, oh, if I just start to do live show but I don't have an audience, somehow miraculously we will be able to drive sales and then find an audience, right? So the short answer to that is no. This is not a silver or magic bullet that just because you start to do live shows you're going to get immediate sales. So for brands without an audience, a bit more planning and a bit more investment has got to be made to be able to work with the right partners, work with the right platforms, work with the right hosts, and to put in enough kind of pre-marketing budget and to put in enough shows so that you start to then build your brand, build your fan base, and acquire an audience for your shows. So it's still worth trying, but it is a slightly slower path. But to me, it's a worthwhile path because it forces the brand to actually think about branding, to do audience acquisition, to do digital marketing. And that's what I think we're all trying to encourage everyone to do in this post-COVID world, right?
Yeah. So I think we need to definitely start thinking of, our own digital business strategies, our marketing strategy. And, if you want to do live shows to have to, I don't know, have like some more O2O conversion and things like that, these are definitely things that you need to think about. So I think a lot of people have been asking about, the audience acquisition part, which I think Terence has already covered, more or less. So, okay, to answer, how many, can you know how many audience you will have before the start of your live show, right? So, the simple answer is no, right? Because everybody, even on Facebook, right, I can reserve for the event. I'll say that I'm attending, but I may not turn up. So you don't know for sure. So there's no guarantee unless your show has, something that is big enough to draw them to actually say that, well, if you actually do come in, which is what a lot of people also do, like, oh, like the first 100 viewers, I'll give you something or whatnot. But obviously this is not.
You can get you wouldn't. Let's put it this way. There are ways and means to get an estimate about whether or not you're going to get an audience. It is very important before every show. For us, we try to do pre-show teaser campaigns on Facebook, Instagram, 7 days before the show, right? And these teaser campaigns are, boosted and we try to reach out to the audience that we want to bring into the live show. So from a mix of, the social media reach that we get, the kind of engagement that we get, and the number of people who express interest, when you do that enough times, you do that in a more so-called the same way, right? Enough times, then you start to, after you've done it for 3, 4, 5 times, you start to get the indication, okay, when 200 people say that they're interested to go for my live show, you then know that, okay, I know that I'm going to get at least 100 people, right? You can discount 50%.
Yeah.
So
but you'll never know it during the first show.
Yeah, but the first show is very difficult, right? So
Yeah.
so again, think of live show as especially when you're starting out, as think of it as I've got to try 3, 4, 5 shows. The first few shows will be there's a lot of learning. You might not get a lot of engagement. There's a lot of things that might go wrong, but it only gets better from there if you are thinking about it the right way, if you are working with the right partners who have the experience to tell you what went wrong and what can be improved, right? So it's really about start a series of shows over 1 or 2 months, and keep learning and improving from there. It took my Melissa brand, we've done 20 shows by now over the past, I would say, 9 months, and half of the shows that we did were I would say not successful at all. We got some shows even 0 sales, right? But we kept trying different things. Some shows were really not done very well, but almost every show we did something different and we tried to improve on something. And it didn't work all the time, but over time, we've actually found a very strong success formula. But it took us at least 6 months of painful trial and error. So it should be shorter for all of you. If you guys are talking to and working with the right people, but it's certainly something that will still take, I would say, 1, 2, 3 months.
Yeah.
To get into.
No, I think at least we are asking the right questions. Like I'm seeing the questions that you're asking. I think at least we're on the right track, because you are very right, because I think having an audience is the biggest part of this game. Yeah, because in the sense that usually when like the reason why your first show, like, it can or cannot be a one-hit wonder is like if you meet a client for the first time, even in real life, right? There's always a 50% chance that you can close that person or not. But then now that it's a live show, you don't even know whether the person is there, right? So as long as that person is there, then there's someone to pitch to. So I get your worry and your concern, because this is our concern too. Yeah. So I think it's really what we can plan for, and all the different marketing mechanisms and techniques that we can employ before a live show that helps to bring in that audience. And these learning points will take time to accumulate, and it's different for every brand. There's no like one magic formula. And yeah, so, and a lot of people think that, maybe I can just go down the Wang Lei route, but not everybody or not every brand is suitable for that kind of positioning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Vivian, to answer your question, right, like how do we hold the audience's attention so that they don't leave within the first 5 minutes? Actually, from our experience, most audience don't leave within the first 5 minutes. They leave within the first 20-25 minutes, and there's a very good reason why. If you're telling me that they're leaving within the first 5 minutes, it can also be because the host is not engaging enough from the beginning and not really trying to show them, oh, you know what, there is going forward. Because if that's the case, then I think the first thing is that, okay, then you have to change the host. Okay, that's number one. Then I think the second part of it is then even within the 20-25 minute space, if people are leaving, you cannot stop them from leaving. But the beauty of a live show is that people come and go, right? It's just like if I open a shop, there'll always be a constant flow of people coming in and out. But what actually makes them stay on to view, whatever else you have to share? Yeah, I think Terence can share a bit more about
Yeah.
it.
So for sure, I think everyone's instinct is that the host, to say that the host is everything and the host is the most important. I would say yes, the host is very, very important,
Mm,
but maybe not in the way that most people think
mm,
of. Um, but it is also more than just the host. The content of your show, what you're going to try to sell or introduce, the kind of mechanics that you have are also very, very big factors, right? So if I were to summarize it simply, I would say, yes, agree. The first big criteria is that the host of the show needs to be engaging with the audience. That means not just a host who speaks well, because if it's just a host that speaks well, it becomes a brand presentation. It becomes a one-way presentation. And that's not what the live audience typically want. And that's when you start to get people who leave because they feel like, oh, this is just a one-way conversation and I'm not interested in that. I want to be engaged. I want to have a
mm,
two-way engagement with the host. So there is a very big difference between hosts who present well but doesn't know how to engage well the audience, and hosts who maybe are not the smoothest presenters, but they're very real, genuine, sincere, and who can talk to the screen and talk to the camera like you are in the same room with them
mm,
and answer your questions and acknowledge, you feel like your presence is acknowledged, right? So
mm,
that's one part. Second part is, you must have then the right product content. You must be selling something that people want, right? And last but not least, and it's actually very important, you must have the right mechanic and the promotion to make people say, why do I need to buy now? Yes, I like everything that you say, but give me a reason. Why should I click on the link to buy and to order now?
mm,
So these are the three big factors.
mm. So I think that will answer your question also, Terence, when you asked about whether live streaming will lead to GMV. So I guess, yeah, so I guess like, once you kind of start your own live shows and you start to find the right formula for your brand, then obviously, yeah,
Mm.
that would help you to, do a lot of sales conversions. So I think, okay, what a lot of people are interested in are, okay, what tools do they need, like in terms of equipment and space and all that, right? Like before a show. Yeah. So actually, I think I'll answer that first.
Yeah.
So I think it can be as simple as like just one camera, one whole setup. Like I just sit here and I just talk to you. Like if let's say you're my audience, right? Like let's say I want to sell you whatever I want to sell you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it can be a whole complicated, like I don't know, a 10 cast thing, or with multi cameras, multi equipment. So it really depends on what you're going for, right? And how big you want that production to be. So there's no like hard and fast rule, but most of the time, what we do see in the market now is either one or two hosts, that they can banter with each other, they can share about certain deals, certain promos. I think it's not so much
Mm.
the equipment that you need to be looking at. Obviously, some of you, you're here because you think that, well, maybe I want to invest in my own equipment. I want to have my own studio. I want to, buy lights, buy mics and everything. Yeah. So
With it also depends on the brand and product. I think there are certain categories of products, like if you're selling frozen seafood,
mm,
simple categories of product, a type of fish is a type of fish, a type of prawn is a type of prawn. That is doesn't require a lot of complexity to introduce and to sell. I think a simple one phone, one host setup can work and can work very well, but it still takes some skill and experience to do. So it is possible to be successful depending on if you are selling a simplified nature of goods and product, one phone, one camera. But if you start to get into categories like fashion, right, or more lifestyle product where you need a bit more explanation, you might need some live edits or subtitles, you might need to be to flash some deals or promo codes or some product information where sometimes you might need two cameras, one camera to where the host is talking, another camera where there's someone who's showing or modeling the product. So that's where depending on also the brand needs, the complexity and the cost of production can go a bit more, because then you might need two cameras. You might need to have, sometimes it's good to have built-in, microphones tagged onto the host. And sometimes you might need a bit more better lighting depending on your kind of a shooting environment. But I would say it's a very simple start. Everyone should consider starting simple and then adding on from there.
Okay. So we're about like half an hour into our webinar, right? So just like a live show, I'm also concerned that you all are leaving, right? So maybe can y'all just, respond yes if you're still here? So I'm quite concerned that maybe we're just talking to ourselves, Why nobody respond? I'm so sad.
Yeah, we see.
Okay. So at least some of you are still here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yay. Okay, we'll continue. Okay. So so on the what kind of cost, I think we'll get to that later in a later part, like what is the cost that you need and things like that. Yeah. Wow, so many right here. Thank you so much. Yay. Still dreaming. Yeah, we're also dreaming. Okay. So what is our recommendation on the max timing of a live show? Because okay. So I think most of us, right, we don't like to, especially in Singapore, we don't have the time to just sit in and attend a live show till the end. So like I said earlier, like the beauty of a live show is that people can, like just come and go, and we're not really hung up about that.
Yeah, so it's a brilliant, excellent question, and I don't have the perfect answer for you, but I'll tell you how we have evolved. I think like many people, when we first started doing live shows, we figured how many people are willing to spend an hour or more listening to a live show. And it's true, at the start of this whole live show phenomenon, there was a very limited group of people who could spare the time. And so we also responded to that, from the Melissa live shows. We started to do live shows that were as short as possible. Instead of an hour plus, we try to keep our shows to about half an hour, thinking that the shorter the show is, the more the audience is likely to be willing to come and stay engaged, because it's not a big compromise on their time. But over the past few months, as we see the number of both brands and live shows happening and the audience of live show growing, we have also evolved, and we think now that there is a very steadily and growing audience with the appetite of spending, up to an hour plus every day, sometimes more, to look out and to participate in the live show of their favorite brands. Because behaviors have changed and people are seeing the value of, and not just of being able to buy products, but the entertainment value of being in a live show and being able to have a two-way engagement and entertainment with the host and their fellow audience, right? So it's become uh, um, less of a selling event, but more of an entertainment event for consumers. And so we see consumers are willing to spend, more consumers and shoppers are willing to spend a lot more time these days. So our concept of the timing has changed. And I would say a good benchmark is about 45 minutes to an hour. I think if you keep it to about there and you find the right host with the right content, with the right promotions, there's no reason why you can't achieve pretty good results from a show that's about 45 minutes to an hour. There are extremes. We have seen successful shows that have gone on for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours even, right? So I would say don't think of timing as a hard rule. Think more of making sure that you have the right setup combination of host, product, content, and brand deals and offers.
Okay, so I think okay, someone is saying that there are a lot of shows that, like, yeah, we see a lot of those shows also that, you typically wait for a lot of people to come in and you waste a lot of time. So I mean, to be honest, we have also done that ourselves, right? And like it's a learning, I mean, it's a mistake like that we learn from. So if you ask me whether I would recommend that even if you're just one or two viewers, you start, I would say yes. But it also means that when more people comes in later, you need to, repeat everything that you have, not everything, but you kind of need to at least tell them again why you're here, what you're here to do, yeah, that kind of thing. So because there's really no point you just wait forever, right? Because and
no, don't wait forever.
yeah, because those two people that were already there, if you wait forever, even those two will leave, then you'll have zero viewers, right?
So don't be discouraged. It is very normal for brands who are first starting to do this to have 5 viewers, 10 viewers at the start. But don't delay or push back your whole show just because you got a few viewers. We have seen very interesting things happen depending on how good the show is. Viewership can actually increase during the show if you get things right? But if you don't, then learn from that and do better in the next show. So don't wait too long to start the show. Get going. There's every chance that if the show goes well, your audience and your viewers will actually increase during the show. And like what Linda says, it's important for recaps and summary, and ability for people who join in late to also then catch up on, okay, so what's on offer? How can I see what you're selling?
So you don't, I mean, it's not like every 5 minutes, you go and repeat it. Okay, I'm trying to answer your question now, Andy. I'm trying to make you feel special. So I think the important thing is that you want those people, like what I'm just doing, right? If let's say I see somebody coming in for the first time and asking me, about this product that I've already talked about before, I want to address you directly and say that, hey, I see your concern, I see your question, and I'm willing to repeat it for you. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, every 5 minutes I'm just going to recap, right? Yeah. So I think that's kind of what we mean. Okay, so I'm going to answer another question that I think is quite interesting. So what is the best date and time for live shows? Weekdays or weekends, office hours, or at night? This one, I think we have a ready answer for.
Yeah, the answer, again, is not the predictable answer because, I say the best timing is the timing that you have established with your audience as this is the time that I know this brand will always do the show. It could be Monday 8 p.m. It could be Tuesday 6 p.m. It could be Sunday 2 p.m. Maybe typically as of now we see brands try to avoid maybe Friday or Saturday evenings. Simply because now with dining allowed,
there's no one watching a show.
Many people are out, having dinner with their friends, right? So if there's more of a try to avoid zone, it should be Friday, Saturday evenings. But I think anywhere outside of that, depending on your audience or category, like certain brands could be very relevant to morning routine,
Yeah.
morning go to work people, right?
Especially
So
if you're doing like B2B. I think a lot of them want the shows to be in the day if you're trying to,
right, or
introduce
B2B,
your,
right?
yeah.
Or even like food shows. We see many food shows that happen at night, yes, but I would say depending on brand and product, and if you have fast delivery, you could do food shows after lunch in the afternoon to help homemakers
Yeah.
prepare and even order the ingredients and have the recipe to do their evening dinner, right? So there's no hard and fast rule. But we do recommend that brands, when they find a date that and the time that works for them, try to do it regularly on the same day and timing. So then your audience will build from there.
Yeah. So okay, I mean the popular timings for now, at least we can share from our knowledge, right? Or what is common in the market is between Monday to Thursday, anytime from 7 to 10 p.m. So that is what is popular right now. But obviously, people now that everyone is working from home, kind of, right? We're still working from home most of the time. So there is
Mm,
still an audience to harvest at different times, like Kevin said. So
mm,
um also it also depends on your brand, and like if let's say you are more social media savvy, so
mm.
some of the brands that we work with, they would be the ones to tell us when would work best for them, because they can see from, let's say, their Facebook stats that, oh, on Thursday night, let's say from even at like
Right,
11 to 12 midnight,
right,
that kind of thing, I
right,
have a lot of fans
right,
coming to my page
right.
for whatever reason.
If you're actively doing a
Yeah.
lot of Facebook content and posts and monitoring the analytics
Yeah.
from your social media, many brands already know what day and time are their audiences most likely to engage.
Mm. Okay, so I think we move on. I think one question that y'all haven't asked, so I will ask for you, is how do you actually close the sale during a live show? Because I think this is something that, would obviously would be something that everybody should be concerned about, right? Because you don't want to waste so much time and money and just keep putting up shows, and yeah.
Yeah, I think by closing the sale is more of how, the question is perhaps more, how do we ensure that, we get good sales, right, from the show. Um, Again, it goes back to the 3 or 4 main points. Your host needs to be someone who is not just a brand presenter, but who is really able to engage with the audience, talk to the audience,
Mm,
like you are a friend in the same room, and
yeah.
be able to have the right promotion and deals that are only available during that show. I think that seems very obvious when I say it, but not every brand do it
Mm,
consistently on every show, right? It doesn't quite work when the same product is selling somewhere else. At any point in time, they can get it for the same price. It doesn't make it compelling for the audience to buy immediately. Of course, if you don't mind, and many brands, sometimes they do live show, they don't mind that the audience would not buy immediately and will go to some other site later to buy, and that's fine. But my advice and my principle is, if your audience is there and if they already buy into your presentation, it is a real waste if you don't just do a bit more to close them and to close a sale immediately, because sale close now is always better than sales close later, and you tend to lose a lot of interest once you are not able to close the sales
mm,
immediately. So what we do for our own branch, and what we advise many of the brands that we are now starting to work with, is to make sure that for every show you have, it doesn't have to be the deepest discounts, but it needs to be promotional mechanics that people cannot find or see anywhere else outside that hour or so of live show.
mm. Okay, so I think we answered two questions for you first, because there are some people who are very interested in your experience with Melissa. So they're asking like, okay, so far, right, have your shows for
Mm.
Melissa been profitable after you factor in the cost of the host, equipment, and the time? And also, what time do we do the IG
Yeah,
live show? Okay, 8 p.m. That one is quite
yeah.
sure.
So
We do
we've
it
been
8 p.m.
doing Melissa shows Tuesdays or Wednesdays, right? Tuesdays, we're trying to hit the Tuesday 8 p.m. time slot on a regular basis. Like I said, we've tried for maybe about 20 times by now, and probably half the shows did not get anywhere near ROI, right? The other half of the shows were okay, especially the recent ones. So I would say that yes, uh, uh, we will only do this from a brand owner perspective if long term the investments are
Makes
worth
sense. Yeah.
the return. And typically, we are trying to work on ideally 1:5 ROI ratio or 1:4 at least. I think 1:3 start to pay out. So depending on category, like for fashion lifestyle, we tend to think that if you invest $1,000 in a live show, okay, by investing $1,000, I mean, production, the cost of host, and maybe some social media boosting. And if you get $5,000 of sales back in return for the $1,000 investment, brand owners are typically happy to keep going and to keep trying and to keep improving on it, and maybe invest more in the hope of getting better results. So we're certainly there for Melissa already, in terms of knowing, and after so many trials, finding the right formula to get us the at least 1:5 ROI ratio. But it took us a journey. It took us at least 6 months or more. Hopefully shorter for most brands. But I would say that that is a good benchmark to think about for all of you brand owners out there. If you want to put in $10,000, then you should gun for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 of sales. And this is what we are also setting for our benchmarks when we work with brands.
So I hope that we kind of have answered your question, Robert, on how we can, stand out from the crowd and all that. Because it's not an easy answer. It's it's a package, right? It's all of the above that we've mentioned. So I hope we've answered that. Then we would, yeah, maybe I'll also ask something else that I think I haven't seen anybody ask. So I think a lot of people are focused on obviously, the how to get started, or and then now that you have to find the right host, how do I what kind of products do I sell, what's my marketing strategy, that kind of thing. I think I would say that most people also need to be aware that you also need to think about your logistics or your fulfillment process. And yeah, um so maybe you can share your experience on that.
I think beyond the mechanics of what makes a successful live show, which we've talked about a lot more, what we typically try to push brand owners or business owners to think about is a couple of things, expectations and strategy and objective, right? You have to be pretty clear about. So, what do you want from this? Be very clear. Do you want just sales, and you just want brand image and awareness? Or do you just want to drive sales? Or do you want some combination of both? Okay, so I think it's very important to be very, very clear with yourself, with your team, and with whoever is working with you on what are your specific objectives, because the objectives will determine how much you're willing to invest and put in, and to risk to get those objectives, right? And the second thing is your internal kind of resourcing and capabilities. I think certainly you can work with good partners and good vendors. That's what we're trying to be when we work with the brands. But it's still very important to have the right dedicated resources within your own team to help, learn, pursue this, and to be persistent in creating the right internal capabilities and processes and learnings, because it's a journey. You do one, you do two, you do three, and then if it's the same person, same team that's doing it, you keep reviewing and learning and trying to do things differently, right? So that's very important. You can't just leave this 100% to external vendor, okay? So you need to have good partners, external vendors, but you also need to have good internal team resources. And then that leads then to the kind of the rest of the setup. Because if you are going to drive sales, and I expect many brands have that as one of their core priorities, then you must make sure that you also have the right kind of internal back-end logistics system process and fulfillment partners in place already. And I think as we talk with brands, most brands have that in some form or other, but we ourselves are also providing more logistic options and partners for brands that do not have. So think of live commerce, jumping into it as a very strategic business initiative of creating a whole new and long-term channel of sales. And if you think about it that way, you can start small, but you set it up in a much more long-term and sustainable manner.
Yeah. Okay, we answer another question. Okay, this is a very good question, indeed. Is a common expectation of getting a good deal during a live show? Is it a must to offer very good discounts to generate immediate sales? It's not a must.
Now, to be realistic, online audiences, especially if you're talking B2C lifestyle consumer products, they're very value conscious, right? So there needs to be some deals. Let's put it that way. There needs to be some deals. But does it have to be rock bottom prices? Does it have to be deep discounts? From a brand owner, business owner perspective, I would say no. If we think that live commerce was about the deepest discounts, then we must as well just keep selling on Lazada and Shopee, because that's where the marketplaces are, deeper and deeper discounts.
And you also kill your own brand.
Yeah, then for businesses that require long-term branding and image, that's not sustainable. But what is important is to create deals that are unique and special. That doesn't necessarily have to be the deepest discount. What do I mean? A very simple example. So, like if I do a Melissa show, I could say, oh, look, Melissa clearance, warehouse sale, fire sale, 60, 50, 70% off. Yeah, for sure, I'm going to get some sales, right? But I'm going to kill my brand very quickly, right? So instead of doing that, we can choose to say, hey, look, if you buy 2 or 3 pairs, you're going to get a certain discount. But on top of that, we're going to give you this little gift, so we mix up the promotion mechanics by making people buy more and offering some deals. But on top of that, we also give some value. We can give GWPs, we can give some privileges or some membership or loyalty points as well, right? So it's about the creative packaging of deals and offer that gives some discounts, some deals, but not about driving rock bottom prices that makes people feel, look, I really enjoyed the show. I really enjoyed the host. I really think that this one suits me. And because this stock is, in a way, also time limited, right? If I don't buy now, I may not get to enjoy it later because this deal is now and the stocks are only available now. So you create the conditions for people to feel like I should buy now.
Yeah. Okay, so I think there's another question that I want to address now, because there's been quite a lot of questions, and this is something that not I'm very passionate about it, but it's very real. So a lot of people are asking about hosts, okay? So this host market, okay, we were Terence and I were just discussing actually before the show, right? That it's crazy. Okay, the it's even more volatile than Bitcoin. So is there a place that we can view all the host portfolio and we can shortlist and we can see all the rates? The answer is no. Reason being, a lot of hosts, their prices will vary for depending on your product, your brand, and their own personal interests, and also whether they have an agency. So I think some of you are aware, based on the questions you're asking about the host, right, that there has been a number of new talent agencies for all these hosts and influencers suddenly within the last month, right? So you're right in saying that there are all kinds of prizes, there are a lot of different hosts and all that, and this is something we are concerned about. And because a lot of you are asking about the costing and all these things, right? So just to quickly cover that, we do understand that the cost of the host is likely to be the highest component of your show in terms of costs. Yeah. But it doesn't also mean that the most expensive host is the best one for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think yes and no lah. Um, Live commerce is definitely exploding right now. I wouldn't even say that it is a hot trend. I think that it's exploding right now,
Mm.
and it's only going to get bigger. Even I'm surprised. And along with that, because right now we are all in COVID lockdown, we are all trapped by local talent. So local talent pool seems to be, I say seems to be small, There's your usual group of influencers who have become hosts, and there's some celebrities who are also turning into hosts. And I think that also gives the impression that it's very pricey, especially if you look at the big names. And I think a lot of Singaporean mindset and attitude is that, oh, if I want to do it, more higher price, more expensive seems to be better, right? They tend to look better or sound better, but like I said, being a good brand presenter is not enough to be a good live show host. It's actually a very different skill, right? So that's the painful lesson that we have learned over the past 6 to 9 months. And that's what we have moved away from, which is to think that, oh, we just have to find someone who looks very good and speaks very well and be willing to pay the price for it. And then we think that we have a good show. Been there, tried that, doesn't really quite work. Okay. So here's the good news. I think that because effective live show is more than just looking good and speaking well, we are finding and discovering a lot of hidden talent out there who were neither celebrities, not event or DJ hosts, pretty everyday normal people who, for whatever reason, have decided to start out in this area as their own host or doing it as a gig. So it's not easy, but because we've been doing it for a while, we are finding such talent that are not asking for, expecting the kind of influencer host pricing.
Someone said I'm a very good host.
Thank you. But actually very engaging and effective live sellers. So there's hope in there, but we need a lot of care to match the right host to the brand.
Sorry, I'm just going to answer this question quickly. Can the business owner be trained to be the host? Actually, a lot of business owners are one of the hosts or the host themselves these days.
Yes, we see very effective hosting done by business owners because you're so passionate, you know the brand.
Yeah, you know
and
your
for
brand
many
best.
fashion brands, the business owners themselves can talk and wear and put on and show off the products very well.
And you can share your story.
Even for food brands. So I think that in those cases, we see a lot of traction and success. But again, it's about sustainability, right? So it does take time, commitment, and effort. And if that's something that business owners are prepared to do, we think that increases the chance of success.
Oh, um, you need to answer a question from another Terence. So
Sure.
he's asking, what's your take on doing live streaming on your own company's FB or IG versus say on marketplaces like Shopee, Lazada, or Zalora?
Yeah, it's a very different audience. It's a very different audience. And these are emerging platforms. I would say it's worthwhile to try them all. But just know that the audience is different and
Yeah.
you know what's your objective.
Yeah. And you need to know where your fan base is watching you from.
Yeah, so from our own experience on marketplaces, we maybe got more eyeballs, a lot more eyeballs than sales. I think the audience profile didn't quite match up well with our brand in marketplaces. And I know a lot of brands who do a lot of shows on marketplaces just to get the eyeballs, but I'm not sure whether that eventually added the right customer base for them, because the customer base in marketplaces is a very different audience, right? And we don't get a lot of feedback and details on, like, let's say if you do a show and you get very little sales, but you got 10,000 people watch your show, right? Now, how do you know that these 10,000 people, how many of them eventually will be converted to your brand and will buy your products in Lazada or Shopee or some other form? There's very little strong data on that.
But we have a solution for you that we'll share.
But whereas on social media, you get clearer, better data, and you get clearer, better, and stronger audience acquisition. If you do shows on your social media that are effective, you're bringing in engagement and fans that you can capture to your social media and to your ordering platform on a more sustained and permanent way.
Okay, I think some people are asking specifically questions regarding IG Live. How do audiences buy immediately in an IG Live? Do you refer them to a website? Especially since we mentioned about giving promotions that appears only in IG Live session.
IG Live is a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
The functionality for IG Live is not as strong as Facebook. There isn't a good, strong variety of ordering, order automation.
Not at all. So
typically,
IG wasn't made for that.
Yeah, so typically IG live sessions, you share a link and you direct your audience to.
So usually what people do is that they share the link in the bio.
Yeah, so that's the typical straightforward way.
So also answer the next question. Is live shows via FB better than IG, since IG stay on lifespan is much shorter? So again, yes and no. So like Terence mentioned way earlier, IG is very good for fashion brands because IG is very fashion focused and whatnot.
And it doesn't have to be either or choice, right? We are doing shows that are simulcast, right?
No. So I think because that's us. So it is either or for a lot of people. So which is the problem? So
but the solution.
That's right.
The solution is to do what we've been doing for Melissa, which is to make sure that you simultaneously broadcast your show on Facebook and IG. Right? But that requires a bit more complexity in production and also back-end resources because you're running two shows on two platforms at the same time.
Yeah. Suddenly got a lot of questions. Sorry, give me a second. Okay, would we recommend live streaming for new brands? Okay. Yeah, for sure. Because plus you are saying you're in retail and you're not keen on giving steep discounts to get eyeballs. So if you're very new technically, you don't really need to give deep discounts because
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
If you're very new, that's the one thing that you want to avoid. You don't want to launch your brand at 50%.
That's right. But and in the first place, because they don't even know what your original price is. If you already tell them that, I'm new, I'm gonna start $100, but then I'm just going to, you can do like a small gimmick, like like the first.
You can have intro offers. You can have starter packs, starter deals. There are many ways to position it. You do, invariably you want to drive trial and usage, and you want to give some deals, right? So there should always be some deal and promotion, but they can be done in a way that avoids discount brand image. To answer the question more specifically, I would say, again, be very clear about your objective, right? And then what are your challenges and how much resources and risk you are taking, And typically, the question goes back again, do you want brand image and brand awareness, or do you want sales? Or as most brand owners would tell me, I want
everything.
both, right? Yeah, they always say, yeah, okay, when they hit it, yeah, of course I want both, right? Yeah, but if you want both, then you must be prepared to do the work that will get you both and put in the investment that will get you both. Yeah. Because if you're a new brand, for example, and you also want sales at the same time, you want to build your audience, then you're doing the show for dual purpose. And you must be prepared to really find the right content, find the host, and be able to do the pre-marketing content, pre-marketing boosting, pre-marketing audience acquisition, right? So it is a harder path, but if that's your objective, then that's what you need to plan and prepare to do, build the audience. Yeah. And then with the audience, you need to be realistic. Your first few shows as you're building the audience might not get a lot of sales, but you know that you're doing something right. You know that you are doing shows that are appealing and you are giving you some learnings and engagement. And then your third show, your sixth show, as you build your audience better and you do your shows better, then you see your sales improve. So I think expectations need to be very clear as well. For new brands who want both sales and audience, this would be a minimum of a few months campaign, sustained campaign, and you need to be prepared to invest a serious time and resources into a longer term campaign.
So I think that also partially answers your question about what kind of marketing to do in order to create the audience. And then also the question about, do we want to start with our database first and how much we put in advertisements? So of course I can't tell you how much to put in advertisements. But definitely, right, you need to start with your database first. I think that is something that, we are certain on.
I think for on our side, for the Lookaddit platform, we are in the midst of launching it fully. We are working with brands and we will start to acquire our audience. So that's the value that we want to build and add in the months to come. So we will build an audience. So working with platforms like us in the future, we're going to offer an audience. But a shorter term possibility would be cross-brand collaboration. I think someone was also asking about cross-brand collaboration. I think that's a brilliant, excellent idea, and that's something that we're pursuing as well. Because when you have two brands, let's say, I always use fashion as very simple and great example. If you put a clothes apparel brand and a bag brand and a shoe brand together, right? Then you kind of get you share the cost across three brands. You get a good show and you get the audience who will be interested in all three categories of products. And if you put them together well, you can do a shop the look kind of promotion across three brands and offer some discounts that the audience can't get anywhere else, because where else are they going to find three good brands put together well who are offering a good deal, right? And then you are reaching out not just to your own audience, but the audience of two other brands as well. And they're happy about that because they are also reaching out to your audience. So that is one of the best ideas and something that we are keen to do our role to mix and match good brands together. And then it shortcuts the brand awareness and audience acquisition cost as well.
Maybe we just share with you, because apparently we are running out of time, okay? So maybe we'll just share with you actually look at it, right? Like who we are and what do we do and what we think we can do for you, because I think what we can do for you, actually, we're trying to provide a solution, right? Basically, that addresses all your concerns, you know, from like logistics to even like sourcing for your own host, let's say, or even, you know, like which platform do you choose to live it on, you know, all of that. Like those are actually within our considerations when, you know, Terence set up Lookaddit. So who we are today, right? Like now, so we are also quite a new platform, because, you know, um yeah, like Terence mentioned, he started this platform to address all these needs. So we actually are the platform with the lowest sales commissions in the market for now. So we are waiving all your onboarding fees and payment gateway fees and whatnot. And you know, like this data is very public, is on the ESG website. Um, yeah. So we also offer the ability to simulcast to our platform, and not just our platform, but also all your social media sites. So one pro tip that I'll give you all, okay, is that IG, right? There is nobody in this world that has a software that can simulcast to them, unless you're talking about this. There's only one, okay? There's one, but it's a hacking program, and you don't know where the data goes. So nobody does that. Yeah. So for IG, it's a different game altogether, but we have found a way to simulcast. Um, yeah, I mean, not perfectly, you know, but on your Facebook, and on our platform, we can definitely do it. And a lot of people have asked about StreamYard and OBS and all that. Yes, we do use all that. Unfortunately, I can't teach you that now, okay? But you know, once you start doing shows with us, you will also learn that along the way, or your team would get to learn it along the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
StreamYard OBS is a good for brands who are willing to explore beyond just
Yeah,
using
so it's more
one
advanced.
handphone.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of flexibility, edit, and audience engagement options.
And also add a lot of, like, you know, I can add like taglines, I can put more pictures, I can put overlays, I can put size charts, promos, promo codes, whatnot. So all that, right, is something that Lookaddit can do for you. So it's a very holistic one-stop shop, if you will. Yeah, we're trying to provide, you know, a one-stop solution. So it will start from like, okay, you come to us, like, and you tell us like, okay, I'm very interested in doing a show. I have all these products to sell, you know, I can even give you all this promotion mechanics and whatnot. We can plan a show together. Yeah, so effectively what our platform does is that on our platform, right, we are a full functioning e-commerce platform. But how it works is that with every video that you see on our platform, it also gives consumers the abilities to buy products immediately. So all the SKUs that you want to sell, or you know, whether it's a product or a service, or you want to sell vouchers, you want to, yeah, whatever.
We automate, and you know, we really help to automate your entire live streaming, order management, fulfillment process. Plus also help business owners put it together lah, because most brand business owners today kind of need a lot of help from A to Z. So it's almost like, you know, we are a platform created by brand owners for brand owners. So we come from a brand owner perspective, we come from a very cost conscious perspective, we come from an ROI perspective, because, you know, it has got to work for my own brands as well. And if it doesn't work from an ROI perspective for my own brands, then it wouldn't work for many other business owners.
Yeah, and typically we also do co-marketing with you to kind of, you know, get a bigger audience. So yeah, so obviously I'm not here to like handhold you to say, oh, you know, you have to do your marketing this way and all that. But in terms of putting out like marketing campaigns or even like EDMs on, you know, social media and all that, we can discuss that. And yeah, so because so that, you know, our platform is not saying one thing and you guys are saying another thing. So I think that's something that we're very conscious of. Then also we have more than 50 hosts for you to choose from. But most of the time we are the ones matching the hosts with the brands, just so that, you know, it saves you the headache of going through everyone, and you're also not going to have the time to sit down and talk to every one of them, and they also won't want to go through that. Yeah. And also for those that wants like more advanced production, more bigger scale production, we also have more than 3 professional production companies for you to choose from. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we're trying to offer you like a full suite of services to, you know, kind of help you to enter this space safely. Yeah. So yeah, any last questions, like questions that you're dying to ask? Or that we have missed, like, you know, maybe ask now. Does Melissa rehearse before doing your actual IG live sessions?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. I think we've done so many that it's kind of automated, and we found good hosts. So we set up a process so that the team just goes in an hour before the show to set up and to just do brief preparation, and then at 8 p.m. we go live.
Just now we mentioned ESG. Is there a government grant for this? So
no,
yeah.
I think there are many grants on digitization. Some of them could involve a live show, but is there a specific grant to do live shows on our platform?
No.
I would say no.
Yeah, but we are the partner that they're pushing out.
But we are ESG funded, and you know, we are therefore translating a lot of our kind of funding and support into rolling out very, I think, easy packages to understand and affordable packages to help business owners try, and then along the way quickly get into ROI positive, you know, ROI viable live streaming strategy. So that's our goal.
Yeah. Okay. So if you missed the name of our platform is Lookaddit, Lookaddit.
Yeah, we'll put it on the chat.
So also, okay, so like I think there's a lot of questions around like what kind of charges we have and all that, right? So, and I think there were a few like either your new brand or you, I think, mentioned that your fashion brand or those that are looking for collaborations or whatnot. I think after this you can also, you know, hit us up. So I think I have a contact email for you,
and we are very much into pulling together a network and community of brands to do collaborations and to leverage synergy and scale. Because there's so much more possibilities when we can put 2-3 brands together.
And also like audience hack together.